love both.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno.
Talk to him.
What's up? Happy Monday. Tristan, too loud for you. Tweaking the levels here. Happy to be back with you. Hope you had a good weekend. Anything fun happen? Let me know. Put it in the chat. We're going to go about 60 minutes today. We're not going to go as long because you've got Grant and Ryno coming up tonight at 7 o'clock, and we have plenty to talk about in those 60 minutes. In fact, I'm considering a huge move that I really have not talked to anybody about, but it's become apparent my services and what I do may be better used elsewhere. So if you want to know more about that, hang on. We'll get to it in a few minutes. NFL weekend, what stood out to you? We'll talk about Jackson Dart and his affinity for the blue tent. You know, I was telling Grant off the record, or we are just chatting, and him and I disagree about Scattaboo. And he's the guy that knows everything about the Giants. He's been going to Giants games since he was not tall enough to ride roller coasters, etc. But we disagree on Cam. I'm like, dude's going to be fine. He's played football that way his entire career. He's used to it. He knows nothing else. His center of gravity is lower than almost everyone, so you're not going to be able to get the massive hits on him. And then there's Jackson Dart, where we're kind of like 50-50. It's like, all right, dude just needs to know when to get out of bounds and when not to, because I think it's undeniable. Jackson Dart brings a moxie. Rest in peace, John Moxley. Was it John Mox? No, it wasn't John Moxley. Rest in peace, Mox. Dawson, James Vanderbeek, great actor. Hayden Panettiere, by the way. Oh my gosh, man. That one stung. That one stung really bad. Anyways, back to football. Anyway, with Jackson Dart, it's like, get out of bounds, man. Just get out of bounds. And what's he do? Like the first play of the preseason, dude goes to sleep on the turf and has to go to the blue tent again. So we'll hit that. Aaron Donald, man, can we just get this? Can we take our remote controls and just fast forward 2.5 weeks in time? Because all this is I don't want to go through training camp. He doesn't need to go through training camp. He will sign when training camp is over, and he'll be fine and ready to go in Australia. And I also have an interesting question that I'm going to kick around all this week. And I think some of you will like it. It'll stir a decent debate around here. So we'll get to that. It's related to the NFL. Here in a few minutes, we'll check in with the chat in a few minutes. Again, only going to go about 60 minutes today, maybe 70 minutes. So Grant and I, though, will be back 7 o'clock to talk about everything else that's going on in the sports world. And if you follow me on X, you know what I've been talking about all day. So, yes, that will be part of today's show. But it's a Monday. You know how we start Mondays. Only one way to start Mondays around here. By the way, I'm determined next time I see Scott Perry, I want to get him to say Motivational Mondays with Scott Perry as a drop. I think that would be great. So you know where we're going. Mr. Perry, GM of your Kings. Do not judge your own sense of self-worth by the achievements or accomplishments of others. Don't allow any other person to tell you what you're capable of achieving. We are all here to contribute something unique and valuable to the world. Trust your heart and be your guide to do what you believe you were called to do. Whatever you choose, do it to the best of your ability. You are worthy, you are important, and you do matter. Be true to yourself and know it's enough. Love these. It'd be too watered down if Scott did it every day, but these are great once a week. Good job, Scott. Not trolling you. We love these. Seriously, put your hand up in the chat. Like the show if you love your Motivational Mondays by Scott Perry. So good stuff there. Let's check in with all of you since I did ask you how the weekend was and if there's anything on your minds before I crack open the lid on the things that I want to talk about. Who's in here? Let's do some roll call. I'm sure we've got Red California near the top. Let's see. Tristan, first in. What's up, man? Happy Monday. Rich, I think this is Richard from Texas. Pretty sure. Changed his handle. It was his birthday yesterday. So I enjoyed my girlfriend taking me to the Olive Garden. Happy belated birthday, Richard. Did you go to Home Depot, Bath and Beyond? I just don't know if there'll be enough time. Somebody's going to get that reference. I promise they will. But just because it's a day late does not mean that you do not get the special happy birthday treatment around here on the King's Court.
Hey, yay, yay, it's your birthday. Hey, 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 it's your day. It's not Monday, it's not Tuesday, it's not Wednesday, it's not Thursday, it's not Friday, it's not Saturday, it's not Thursday. It's your birthday.
Duet, Mike Tyson and Ryno. Happy birthday, dude. What'd you get from Olive Garden? You know, Richard, I gotta tell you, I've kind of soured. I was never a big Olive Garden guy. Just because I think there's better Italian where I live. And you know, when it came, it's hard to beat the soup and the salad. It's really good. And the breadsticks, they're really good. They're not really good for you. But so you know, I think it was we were still at Fox. And I'm like, you know what? Olive Garden's got this thing going where you buy one entree and you get one to go. All right, I could get with that. And so I was thinking like the to go or the extra entree was going to be like hot prepared, just like the one that I was going to eat that night. No, it's like factor style. It's like half frozen, and I have not eaten fettuccine alfredo since I ate that. It did not go well. Like I can't even think about fettuccine alfredo since then. But the dish that I got that they made hot was good. But happy birthday nonetheless. Sly Dog, Tristan, Rip Tommy John. Yeah, that could be taken a few ways. I'm sure somebody was ripped today with his surgery. But yes, Tommy John passes away at the age of 33. Uh, Cowboys sign Von Miller is Richard. See, I'm a bright guy. Is Ryno taking his talents to South Beach too? No, I'm not taking my talents to South Beach. Uh, Too expensive. Take your talents. Too humid too. Way too humid for me. Would not be able to do it. Sly Dog, the NBA found nothing. Did they or did they not? We're going to talk about it here in a few minutes. Chicken parm. Yeah, can't go wrong with that. Cannot go wrong with chicken parm. You know, like I'm not one of those I'm not one of those PETA or what is it? Is it PETA? What's the people, the group for animals? I think it's PETA. Anyways, like I'm not one of those like protesters. Like I understand the cycle of life. I understand just how it is in this country. Like meat for most people is part of almost every dinner. So you know, it is what it is. But then I was driving along I-5 and I saw those little tiny cages. And one of my favorites used to be veal Parmesan. And then I found out that's how veal is like raised. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I got to move off veal. I have to move off veal. So it is now chick parm for me. But yeah, I guess innocence before guilt when it comes to the NBA. What a surprise. Okay, this is not we got to get this out of our minds really quick. But to the point about my change in duties, making a change in what I do, I think I'm probably going to abandon the King's Court and abandon all this and become Adam Silver's director of common sense. That's what I think I am tailor-made for. Adam Silver's director of common sense. We have had this thing with the Clippers peppered. When we got to the point weeks ago, almost a month ago, when Summer League was going on, and I said, I'm pretty sure the results are in. I'm almost 98% sure. Let me tie these pieces together. The NBA was not doing the investigation, an independent law firm was, but then you had sources in the NBA saying they'd really like to get this adjudicated by this timetable. And you're getting these quotes from people inside the NBA. I came to all of you and I said, here's what I think is going on. They have the report, it's disputable, and they do not, under any circumstances, want to have this thing fought in public with arbitration, with appeals, all that. They want to deliver this to the public with a bow on top of it, where Kawhi Leonard, Steve Ballmer, the NBA, everybody has agreed to the terms of whatever this third party report said. Guilty, not guilty. I would love to hear from Tay today to see what the reaction is in SoCal right now. So, an article comes out in ESPN, and you have 3 different reporters that are claiming the NBA cannot substantiate, or the findings of the report could not substantiate, salary cap evasion on Steve Ballmer's part. Pablo Torre posted a very interesting excerpt from the article. It says, instead, the NBA is focused on whether the team's introduction of Leonard to team sponsors constitutes a violation of the league's rules prohibiting salary cap circumvention. Two of the sources said, this is the ESPN article, the league is examining whether the Clippers are guilty of, quote, failure to supervise, end quote, employees, though it's unclear what specific rule the team would have violated or what the penalties would be, 2 of the sources said. So again, we're in sources. This report has been signed, sealed, and delivered. Here's what I can tell you without knowing what the report says. The report will not substantiate with clear and convincing evidence, or whatever the bar is for Adam Silver and the NBA. They are not going to be able to hammer the Clippers on everything that Pablo Torre has reported. However, it looks like the NBA thinks that they can get some discipline in some other areas of this report. So now you have the 2 sides going back and forth privately. Well, how are we going to do this? Clearly, Steve Ballmer does not like what the NBA is throwing his way when it comes to all of this. If you want a little recap of this Pablo Torre and how he's been all over this story, I'll get to some of your comments in a second. Pablo Torre was on with Dan Patrick earlier.
And Steve Ballmer is in jeopardy of losing the Clippers, being able to own them.
I think the question is an Adam Silver question, right? And this is what's so interesting. Adam Silver is not his mentor, David Stern. Adam Silver is actually the guy who welcomed Steve Ballmer in replacement of Donald Sterling and was hailed as this almost Aristotelian, brilliant, progressive leader in comparison to all the other commissioners, Roger Goodell, namely, at that time. And so now he is bookending, perhaps, his tenure with the same guy being an even bigger problem, a complicated problem. And so if you're Adam Silver, and in 2019, when you cleared the Clippers and Steve Ballmer of cap circumvention after investigating the Raptors claims and the Lakers claims, what you've done, by the way, on the record, is say salary cap circumvention is the cardinal rule of the NBA. And I think underpinning all of this, Dan, the moment we're in with sports gambling, as the NBA balances a gambling scandal and investigation that we've been covering on the show as well, when they're balancing all of the other cap circumvention theories out there, Gary Trent Jr. just being the latest hypothesis someone has, is the question of whether the rules matter. And if you break the rules, as have been alleged by multiple episodes here of my show and now elsewhere, the question is, how do you possibly make it so that the cardinal rule is actually treated like it? And so by any standard of fake NBA law, because these are all fake laws, these are all collectively bargained rules that you got to enforce, I think everything should be on the table. Realistically, in terms of the money, and if you follow it, I think there's a very real chance that Steve Ballmer emerges relatively unscathed, which is kind of insane to me, according to my reporting.
So that was Pablo Torre. So you get this today from ESPN, 3 reporters, okay? And this is like all happening in real time on social media. You've got the big breaking story on ESPN.com, Clippers cleared, or it says sources, Clippers cleared. Then what do you get? You get a statement from the NBA. NBA spokesperson Mike Bass, this was via NBA Communications, quote, ESPN's article regarding the LA Clippers investigation for which the NBA declined to cooperate contains numerous, let me clarify that. ESPN's article regarding the LA Clippers investigation for which the NBA declined to cooperate. Sorry, I'm so like worked up about thinking about being Adam Silver's director of common sense. ESPN reached out to the NBA, and the NBA said, we're not going to give you a statement on this article. So what happens? This thing starts freaking snowballing. Dash contains numerous and significant inaccuracies. The results in this matter will be made clear once the investigation is concluded. Okay. So you are now saying within the same statement, Mr. Bass, that in this report, there's parts of it with the investigation that are being reported incorrectly, but you'll know when the investigation is concluded. Can we drop this investigation thing? The investigation is concluded. The NBA continuing to contradict itself. And what do you get? Of course, Steve Ballmer is just, this is where Steve Ballmer and the Clippers are giving the NBA a massive middle finger, saying we're done doing this little dance behind the scenes. We're not. We're gonna go public. Like, we're not gonna agree to some little punishment or agree that we did this wrong. We're not. We're just gonna roll with this. So the Clippers roll out an entire statement to combat what the NBA said. And mind you, this is all off of quote unquote reports. If these quote unquote reports were not credible, then the NBA would not even respond to them. So here's what the Clippers rolled out. It says, full statement from the LA Clippers. The Clippers introduced players, including Kawhi Leonard, to companies with which we had business relationships. Making introductions between players and team partners is both ordinary practice by NBA teams and a common request of players and representatives. From there, Kawhi and his representatives handled their negotiations. The Clippers did not negotiate or dictate the terms of Kawhi's endorsement agreements or determine what he would be paid. Our commercial relationship stood on their own merits. We chose sponsors, vendors, and other business partners based on normal business considerations, including the value they provided, the quality of their services and products, and their ability to meet our business's needs. We did not overpay any vendor. Well, okay, let's stop there. You for sure, Steve Ballmer, overpaid the toilet vendors and the plumbers. Dude, you don't need that many toilets in one building. By the way, if Kawhi was the spokesperson for the toilet company and never talked about the toilet company, guilty. Like, who needs that many toilets? It's the most toilets in an arena in the world. Anyways, I digress and I go back to the statement. So yes, you did overpay that vendor, or provide any sponsor, vendor, or business partner with discounts or other favorable terms in order to funnel money to Kawhi. The fact that a player has an endorsement relationship with a company that also does business with his team is not evidence of salary cap circumvention. After nearly a year of scrutiny, the central fact remains true and unchanged. The Clippers did not funnel money to Kawhi Leonard, arrange for others to compensate him on our behalf, or otherwise provide him with undisclosed compensation outside of his NBA contract. So let me break it down to you. Here's what happened today. This is what happened today. Today, the shit hit the fan. I rarely cuss. The play nice behind the scenes with the NBA, with the Players Association, with Steve Ballmer, the owners, it all hit the fan today. Steve Ballmer said, F it. I'm done with this. And went public. That's what happened. This is an awful, 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 awful look for the NBA. Steve Ballmer has now put Adam Silver in the worst, in my opinion, one of the worst positions a commissioner could be at. Adam Silver was already in a terrible position with this investigation. And although I do not blame Adam Silver, I can't blame him for the length of the investigation because it's being handled by a third party, but I can blame him for the strategy of what I believe is trying to deliver this all together as one. Parties have agreed, no salary cap evasion, but the Clippers should not have done this with Kawhi. And whatever the punishment was that they were talking about, they were hoping, the NBA, that that could be tied up. So now Adam Silver is in a spot where the Clippers are calling bluff. They're either calling bluff on this investigation, and they know the truth of the investigation, and they know the smaller details of what's been going on, likely since the last governor's meeting and summer league, or the NBA is going to drop the hammer on Steve Ballmer, and you're going to have three big-time reporters that are going to lose major credibility. My guess is I'm leaning a little bit more towards Ballmer and the reporter's side on this. And you know what? Adam Silver has no one else to blame but Adam Silver. You cannot, in my opinion, this goes to if you want to talk about salary cap evasion and integrity of the game, when you have an investigation of what's considered the rule in the NBA that can't be broken, And there's already, it's kind of starting to look like a duck. It's starting to quack like a duck, and oh man, that duck's almost ready to walk. When that story is starting to get to that point, you need to drop that investigation to the public and to the media as soon as your legal counsel has reviewed it and has approved it for release. You can't take it 2, 3, 4 steps further. Again, the cover up is worse than the crime. Now, I want to be clear, Adam Silver isn't covering something up, but Adam Silver was trying, in my opinion, to do way more with this behind the scenes than he should have. And I would venture to guess the next time Adam Silver has to address the media, I will be very interested if he gets the direct question, when was the investigation turned over to you? And look, I will tell you, there are ways and means legally and reasonably of having dates changed on that investigation when it was turned over to the NBA, because you might have the Clippers, you might have the NBA's counsel say, this needs to be amended. This is factually incorrect. And if they provide evidence of that, then you could have an amended version of the report, which means the date's going to be updated. So I would like to know the original date this was turned over to the NBA in its first form. And that would be my follow-up question to Adam Silver. It's an awful look. It's Adam Silver. It is freaking Adam Silver in a nutshell. This investigation was never supposed to be about the NBA. It was never supposed to be Adam Silver on trial. Yet again, after something big happens in the NBA, cake, pie, whatever you want to call it, ends up on the NBA's face. This entire thing exploded behind the scenes in his face, in my opinion. There's no other way to justify it. And the NBA knows that. So when I look at what the NBA says, NBA spokesperson Mike Bass, I'm going to ignore the first couple lines. The reports contain numerous and significant inaccuracies. Okay. I'm going to be real interested to see what numerous is pretty straightforward, but what about significant inaccuracies? The results in this matter will be made clear once the investigation is concluded. Investigation there is very, very ambiguous. So now the NBA was already under immense pressure. We can go back, and this all got inflamed when the trade was announced between the Clippers and the Raptors. This thing got very, very inflamed because some of us were sitting here the day it was announced and it's like, dude, Toronto's willing to take on that liability? That doesn't seem right. And then it floats out there 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. And then on the 10th day or somewhere around it, you get this thing that the NBA or the Clippers or the Raptors, excuse me, we're going to wait for the investigation because any discipline on Kawhi Leonard would then occur on their watch, meaning if he had to miss games, it would obviously be in a Raptors uniform. Why did that take 10 days? Can I ask that question? We all ask that question. Why did it take the league 10 days? And how did the league even allow the teams to announce it publicly without stating that first and foremost? So in that case, you know what? The Clippers trying to get over, to a degree. And who knows? Maybe they strongly feel, and they feel even stronger today, that they are not going to be guilty of salary cap evasion. But the Raptors, like, how does that front office not think about it? Like, come on. Of course. You should lose your job as a general manager if you're trading for Kawhi Leonard and you are not considering what's being investigated. Like, that doesn't come to mind. Come on. So either this report dropped, like the day that trade was held up, or something changed. I think that's right around when the report dropped. And I also think that's right around where it's like, all right, let's come to some agreements. Let's mitigate this. Let's not let this go to public arbitration. Let's not put this in the courts. Let's not have different styles of appeals and stays on this. We don't want a public food fight. That's what we don't want. But they couldn't come to resolutions. They could not come to resolutions. And so you're here where you are here today, where you have Clippers sources. Ramona Shelburne covers the Lakers and the Clippers. All of these reports, realistically, have come from the Clippers. For the Clippers to put out their statement, who does that? Who does that? You know, they've had the report. It's embarrassing. Adam Silver, my man. Adam Silver, he'll probably make it through this. Dude's Teflon. Dude is Teflon while his game is drowning. When there are fires in the NBA, you know what Adam Silver does? Oh, don't look over there where the smoke's at. Look at this. Look at this. I've got something that you've been wanting, something you've been asking about, expansion. Or, oh, look, NBA Europe. Take your direction to NBA Europe instead of the issues that we have with tanking, the issues that we have with rest management, the issues that we have with doing investigations. So, where are you at on this, man? We have peppered this thing. I can't wait for the rest of this to come out. And I have no ill wishes on Adam Silver, but you know, I am just some hack behind a microphone that covers my local team. And I've had this thing sniffed out since the day that trade was put on pause. It's like, oh, and you know how I sniffed it out? Common freaking sense. Common sense. The commissioner does not always operate with it. It's insane. Like, who would tell the commissioner to sit on that report and try to adjudicate punishment? Or say, okay, bombs. Hey, bombs. Yeah, okay, I can't get you on the big thing. But you know what? I've got to get you on something. Bombs, I just need you to concede to this a $50,000 fine. Bomber's saying, screw you. I'm not. It looks like that's exactly what the NBA is trying to get them on. If you go back to this statement about the introductions that were made between Kawhi and their vendors, their sponsors, etc. Do you coincidence? Well, excuse me, Scott Perry, Motivational Mondays are not a coincidence. But do you think it's a coincidence that Pablo Torre quoted this excerpt from the ESPN article, which opens even more questions about how narrow or wide this investigation actually was? There is a chance here for Pablo Torre or anybody else to do some really good reporting on how we got here. I mean, credible reporting. Get some quotes. I'm sure you're going to get more from Bomber and the Clippers. They have planted their flag at center court on this investigation. They have now turned the other cheek to the commissioner. So what's the NBA going to do? How bad of a look is it going to be for the NBA to come out after all of this and have nothing? It almost forces the NBA to come out with some chunk of flesh. And you know what's bad about that? You should never be in that position. Ever, ever, ever. Ever. Because then you're not always making ethical decisions. But for a report from 3 separate reporters to garner this response from the NBA, that's pretty incredible. So I'm gonna write down numerous and I'm gonna write down significant inaccuracies. Let's see what they are. Let's see if they're little technical things. I think this thing's gonna get. There's no way the NBA is turning their back on it. There's just not. The NBA is gonna try. The NBA is gonna get them with something. And now wait till those sides go to battle. Just wait. And this is going to be ugly, ugly, ugly when you could have just dropped the report and let the process play out from there. I mean, you're not exactly dealing with an owner that is laissez-faire, that's pretty chill, that's hands off. It's Steve freaking Ballmer. Dude's insane. He's off the charts passionate. Damn. Badly misjudged. Horribly misjudged. Gonna get to your comments here in a second about the Clippers situation. Tell me if you see it differently. Tell me if you see it the same. Let me know. I would love to get your perspective. NBA Central, Russell Westbrook reportedly was not fond of playing a reduced role behind Darius Acuff Jr. on the Kings, apparently, and balked at the specific terms of the offer presented by the Wizards. Okay. I can substantiate. I told you I would dig around, I would listen, and kind of pick around the subject. Russell Westbrook return to Sacramento would have been that quote unquote backup role. It would have been not always in the rotation type of role for Russell Westbrook, or at least as it was presented to him. He would have clearly been behind Darius Acuff on the depth chart, and outside of an injury, it would have been Acuff's team. And what have we talked about all along? Russ is gonna want to Russ. When Russ signed with Sacramento last season, he knew he could beat out Dennis Schroeder for that starting job and have his type of season, and he did. So, anyways, there's the news, at least according to NBA Central. But the reason that I bring it up is it's just another step to me. It's another piece of evidence that this team right now, this tripod, whatever you want to call it, between Doug Christie, Scott Perry, and BJ Armstrong, this was the right decision for this group of guys. If you're really going to build around the youth that you have on this roster coming into 26-27, it's another stretch and step of credibility for them. So the word to me that was used is boundaries. Boundaries was not a word that I heard any time last year when it came to Russell Westbrook. In fact, it was the opposite. We were sitting here balking at, well, the Kings get into a close game, and then all of a sudden you have Westbrook, DeRozan, and Schroeder on the floor together. A combination that almost never played with each other at any other times during the games. And I asked Doug straight up, And he said, well, they're vets, and I know what they're going to do in those moments. So there you go. Some have asked, we have your answer. The If You Don't Like That Pick'em League for the NFL season is back. Everybody that was in the league last year should have already gotten an email about it. If you were not in the league, free to join. Would love to have you. That is the group ID and the password. We're doing a Pick'em League on Yahoo Sports against the spread. So you'll be picking every game of the NFL calendar each week. We are not doing playoffs. The winner will be getting a gift card, a couple of gift cards. One compliments of Jay Griffiths, and the other compliments of a quiet donor, which was very, very kind of that quiet donor. So go check it out. Go sign up. We'd love to have you in it. Can you pick better than Napes and I? If you can sign up, you can probably pick better than us. Let's just be real. Actually, no, Napes was good last season. I think he was pretty good last season on his picks. So we've got about 20 minutes left in the show, maybe 25 minutes. Let's go to all of you, and then we'll talk a little bit of NFL. And also, I will ask you that question that I want to dissect throughout this week. I want to get your take on it. I think it'll be a good question for this time of year and this area. Ryan, was the Von Miller a good pickup for the Cowboys? I don't know the terms of it, Richard. You'd have to shoot me the terms, or I'll look them up. What's up, Flores? When does this disconnect begin? We will be launched by September 1st. So looking forward to that. T-shirts will start going out September 1st as well. Be sending out an email to you here in the by the end of this week, actually. Peter, the NBA is a brand. In that brand, by the way, the disconnect is the King's Court Discord, for those that do not know. This group has just done what it wants with the name, as they do, and I appreciate that. The NBA is a brand, and that brand has been harmed by the actions of Kawhi Leonard, Ballmer, and the Clippers. This is showing how weak Adam Silver actually is, and how poorly he is being advised. It seemed pretty obvious that Adam Silver was not comfortable answering questions about this report. And the last couple times that he had talked about it, combined with the timing of the trade being put on pause between the Clippers and the Raptors, that's when my radar completely went up. And I said, all right, hold up. Something's off here. And I stand by what I think has happened. I think it's exactly what we're going to find out here in the coming days. And the NBA is backed into, like I said, an impossible corner now. Because if talks were going on behind the scenes between the Clippers, Leonard's representation, and the NBA, the Clippers have clearly turned their backs to those talks. And the NBA has rebutted by saying that there are numerous. What was the exact terminology? I want to make sure we get the terminology right. The NBA responded to the report on ESPN today, saying it contains numerous and significant inaccuracies. So to me, that means the NBA better deliver a chunk of flesh. Because not only did the reporters put it out, the Clippers put a statement out on it. This is the type of statement that you would get after the report comes out and there's no findings of salary evasion. So what is the NBA's move now? I think the Clippers Steve Ballmer pushed all of his chips to the middle of the table. And I think the NBA right now is holding like a 7-2. That's what I think. Who knows? Ballmer might be holding 4-3. But the NBA is in a much worse position with this report than they were before today. And the fact that NBA communications responded to a report, wow. And then you have the Clippers right after that release their statement. Incredible stuff. What happened to dragging it out to 2027? Flores, I am glad you brought that up, because what did the person in that report say? The person in that report said because it could, well, excuse me, they said it could be dragged out to that because of the two sides agreeing on a punishment or agreeing on the adjudication of this thing. So what does that tell the public? What does that tell me? What should that tell all you? Guess what? The report's in. So even in this statement where the NBA says the results in this matter will be made clear once the investigation is concluded. Adam, dude, just say the investigation's in. And by the way, the second week of September, there's another Board of Governors meeting. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. And Adam Silver usually has press availability. There's no way this can go past that. There's none. Zero whatsoever. So yes, Flores, thank you for bringing that up. I did not, I should have gone to get that screen caption. Who wants a no-show job for 28 million? That'd be great, man. Yeah, you know what? Kawhi, man, he's like, oh, okay. So all I gotta do is plant a tree. Okay. Think about it. I'm Kawhi Leonard. My hand is like the size of a shovel. All I've got to do is just go done. Yeah, 28 million. $28 million. And you know what I found really interesting too? The fact that Kawhi Leonard has been more active this past week on social media. Anybody catch that? He's been way more active, posting videos. Kawhi's usually not video guy on social media, so crazy. All I can think about right now is Kawhi just sitting there laughing. I'm like looking, do I have the audio of Kawhi just cracking up? It's just insane. Come on. Do we have Kawhi? We should have laid that behind me. Just Kawhi cracking up. I mean, we have this. It kind of sounds like Kawhi. That's Adam Silver right now. Adam Silver's furniture right now is rearranged in his office. So rearranged right now. Didn't plan on it, but it's rearranged. Sounds like Leonard will be in Toronto again. Sure does. Ryno, I don't see much job security working for Adam Silver. Should be gone. He's a weakling. Yeah, but the owner's got to vote him out. That's the thing. Yeah, okay. I wonder how many eyes have read this report. I know Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer's eyes have hit it. Kawhi's eyes have hit it. Their legal counsels have hit it. Coaches associations hit it. Players associations hit it. The NBA, their attorneys. But beyond that, like, I wonder how many eyes have touched this thing. 100% agree with that commentator about Silver bringing Ballmer in to replace Sterling. He's not going to roast him. I don't even think it has any. And Patrick, It's a good point. I know that Dan Patrick and Pablo talked about that. Doesn't matter if he brought him in or not. Like, Adam Silver's biggest problem is inaction, right? Like, I don't think he would have dropped the hammer anyways. Silver's commissionership may be bookended by the Clippers. We'll see. Well, here's the thing. It's going to come to credibility, because this is not just the only thing that's going on with the NBA right now. What about these gambling? In fact, this is probably the worst parlay as a commissioner that you could have to deal with. Integrity of the salary cap and gambling scandals. Can you think of two worse parlays? I can't. Those are like at the top of the list. And if Adam Silver, he already looks awful with the gambling scandal. If he comes out looking bad on this, I wonder how. Because these would be the top two things when you talk about the integrity of the game. These are at the top of the list. So if he mishandles both, is he going to have any credibility? You know, like, it's funny because everybody, and Adam talks about the TV deal. Okay, did Adam Silver maybe get them an extra $2, $3, $4, $5 billion? Maybe, I don't know. Okay, let's call it $15 billion. But in the grand scheme of things, it's the MB freaking A. Any knucklehead could probably get a damn good deal to sell the rights for the NBA. And what about Adam Silver? Do you remember this? Do you remember Adam Silver telling fans that they should change games to 10-minute quarters?
Current state of the NBA, and Adam Silver suggested something.
That's 2 free throws for a foul and a 3-point shot. That's I don't necessarily think I would do it in the last 2 minutes of the game, but I think that's something interesting. Something else that I'm a fan of, and I'm probably in a minority, as we get more involved in global basketball, the NBA is the only league that plays 48 minutes. And I am a fan of 4 10-minute quarters. I'm not sure that many others are. I mean, putting aside what it means for records and things like that.
He's looking for all of the fixes to the wrong problems. Like, have you ever, okay, I'll admit this, I'm a procrastinator for the most part. I would a lot of times growing up, I would wait till the last minute. I'm not too cool to admit that. But Adam, man, massive procrastinator with the important stuff. Well, maybe if I take care of all this little stuff, it's going to be a smoke screen. It'll look like I'm getting stuff done. I'm innovating. You remember when Adam Silver explained to everybody that, oh, well, if you can't afford to watch, what was it? Peacock, NBC, Amazon, Prime, ESPN, ABC, if you couldn't afford to watch that, just catch our highlights.
I will say I look at it a little bit differently because most people can only consume so many games. I just want, by way of one example, in these new media deals, we're going from essentially 15 exposures on broadcast television to 75 now. So, I mean, to the extent somebody wants to put little rabbit ears on their television, you can still get, therefore, 75 marquee games, in essence, for free in the marketplace. I'd say in addition to that, and this is an ongoing issue for the league, there's a huge amount of our content that people can essentially consume for free. I mean, this is very much a highlights-based sport, so, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, any service, the New York Times for that matter, to the extent that, your content is not behind a paid firewall. There's an enormous amount of content out there. YouTube, by another example, that advertising based that consumers can consume. I think this is
Our content's not behind a firewall. Does that even make sense? A firewall. I guess it does make a little sense. I think VPN, you don't need a VPN to consume our content, might have been a little bit better. A firewall? What are we talking about? We're talking about Napster? What was the knockoff Napster? I know I used it to download a ton of stuff. It was funny when I got it admitted to college, and the answer today would be completely the opposite. And my parents are like, "Well, we've got to get you a computer. Kind of computer you want? You want a laptop or a desktop? Desktop, please. Desktop." You know why? Because we were like burning CDs back in the day. You're like making mixes. You're like got a good date, somebody that like you've been into for a minute. You finally get your chance. You make the custom mix for the car. You know what I'm talking about. Downloading music, downloading all that stuff. Then we started uploading to our iPods. We're like this. So old school. It took 30 days so they can destroy evidence. Yeah, there you go. Speaking about sniffing stuff, Kawhi Leonard's career doesn't smell right. Sits out a lot. He has an extreme aura of mystery. You know what, lifestyle? I can't blame you for that take, especially the end of that take. Kawhi keeps things very, very close to his circle. He always has, going back to college. He grew up in Riverside, even at San Diego State. Very, very close to the vest with the basketball team. Did not have a big circle, was not the guy at parties. That's not by mistake. Let's put it that way. Not by mistake. Breaking news. There are several inaccuracies in Ryno and Sacktown's statement regarding the LA Clippers circumvention of the NBA salary cap. Signed Steve Ballmer? Dude, how is Ballmer not posting this on the Clippers website? I'm giving Ballmer the credit here. He pushed the chips all in. Dude, Steve Ballmer should be thanking me. That statement should be from the NBA, not Steve Ballmer. I see you working though, Peter. And Peter turning into like a little bit of a clone. Anybody that does the /S/ it means you've been watching and contributing on Jim Rome. I see you, Peter. I see you working, my man. I respect Westbrook and appreciate this last year with the Kings. Westbrook balking at the backup role to Acuff is classic Russ, superstar ego. No ounce of Vince Carter in him. You know, lifestyle, I would not say that it's ego as much as it's his ethos. With Russ, I would say it's ethos over ego because it's just not who he is. He didn't want to be second fiddle to Kevin Durant in Kevin Durant's prime. Same thing last year with Schroeder. You should have heard some of the stories we were hearing from the locker room and at times at practice between those two. Russ only knows one way. And that's why I didn't put it on Russ last year totally. I also put it on the Kings and how they managed him. Like, you can't ask Russ to come into a team and let's put it this way. Multiple teams have asked Russ to come to their teams and be in this box, and it has never worked. Never worked. and things turn a little sour. So Vince Carter was at a different stage. Vince Carter knew that the best days were behind him. Somebody like Russell Westbrook, dude will be 60 and think that he could pull out the basketball and still play in the NBA. And it's just because of how he's wired. But like Vince, like he was many of you probably don't know this, but Vince was working with Grant, not on TV, excuse me, but Vince approached Grant about learning the broadcasting side here in Sacramento. He was great with the young guys. You know who did much of the same without the broadcasting part of it the past 2 years that will never get the same credit because his name is not Vince Carter? It's Doug McDermott. Doug was great those last 2 years. These last 2 years with the young guys. Didn't Silver also have a referee scandal as well? Dude, he's got fires everywhere. NFL games this weekend that caught your eye? Good question. The Raiders, for sure. Strictly because of the offensive side of the ball with Cousins and Mendoza. The Cardinals, the fact that they kept running Jeremiah Love, I did not understand that. Same game. I'm like, why is he still in the game? Like, why are you still running student body right? And now he's injured? It's and I know it's not a major injury. That caught my eye. Jackson Dart, who we'll talk about briefly here in a second, caught my eye. What's up, BJ? In jury duty, listening to questioning for selection. Not fun. Snuck my earbuds in, listening to Sucktown King's Court. Appreciate you, Shipbird. Happy Monday. That is, dude, good job, dude. Way to do that in jury duty. Just don't get caught. You know, I will tell you this, BJ, the courts have very much cracked down on letting people out of jury duty. Um, yeah, very interesting how that works. So if you're in jury, so I'm in jury duty. Okay, for selection. So you're in the process where they're putting people in and out of the box right now. All right. Good job. Nothing. Nope. Didn't miss anything about disconnect. September 1st is our launch date. He means paywall, not firewall. Thank you, Peter. That's what I thought. Great question about the NFL. So that's where I want to turn really quick before we dismiss for the day. Don't forget, Grant and I will be back tonight at 7 o'clock. Looking forward to joining him. Can't wait to see what he has to say about all this. I've got to think it's right there in play with where I'm at, but always love getting Grant's perspective on it and get involved in the show tonight. We'd love to have you call. You can take it wherever you want to take it. And I think I was supposed to watch a movie, which I did not, but I didn't get him the movie he was supposed to watch. See, procrastinator. I'll take my medicine tonight for not watching Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, I think LimeWire was the one that I used. Good job by you. Okay, back to the NFL really quick before we wrap up. Don't forget you can catch the audio replay anywhere you find podcasts. Download the King's Court with Ryno. Thank you to everybody that's been doing that. Numbers have been awesome. But the question was about the NFL and anything that caught my eye this weekend. Two quick things. The reports of Aaron Donald coming back, having a second workout with the Rams. Let's call this for what it is. This is one of those things where Aaron Donald probably does not want to go through training camp. And my guess is the Rams don't really want him to go through training camp either. Dude's ready. Guy has been through enough training camps to know what it's going to take. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference, especially if you bring him back a couple days before the final preseason game, because the Rams don't want to do this. The Rams don't want to bring him in too early and then have the media, well, is he going to play in the preseason? Like, why would you not play him in the preseason? He hasn't played football in a year, et cetera, et cetera. So I would expect Aaron Donald will be a Ram shortly before the Rams have their last preseason game. And then we talked about Jackson Dart as well. He goes to the blue tent again, and it looked like he was sleeping on the turf. One of the first plays from scrimmage. And if you're a Giants fan, your stomach had to be churning. Because it's like, if there's one thing you need this dude to be healthy. He went to the tent 6 times last season. 6 times. Or was this one his 6th trip? Either way, he's been in the blue tent 6 times. John Harbaugh was asked about it, and also Jackson was asked about it, and Jackson's response was a little fuzzy to me. That's weird. Where's my audio?
Was there any hesitation in putting him back in?
No, he's fine.
I really respect.
Here we go.
What were your feelings at that moment when you saw that?
My feelings in that moment was we need to block better. That's what my feeling was.
Was there any hesitation in putting him back in?
No, he's fine.
I really respect the rules and the thought behind, NFL has of keeping players healthy and reviewing things, but at the same time, I'm still puzzled by it just feeling like every time that I get hit, I find my way in there, which at times I still try to wrap my head around, but that's all that I'm going to say about that situation. I'm really happy with how the drive ended.
Dude, you looked like you were asleep for a second on the field. That's the whole point of the independent spotter in the box. If you're fine, hop right back up. But my guess is if you would have hopped right back up, you would have fallen right back down. So, Giants fans, you got to be a little worried about that. Here's my question that I want to kick to you, and we're going to end here. That I want to debate throughout the week. And I think it's actually a very, very interesting question. Maybe it's too soon for the question. I actually don't think it is too soon, though. My question for you is, and you can bring your arguments tonight, you can bring your arguments tomorrow. We've got Jerry on Wednesday here on the King's Court. And then we'll finish out Thursday, and then Friday, we'll have Wrestling with Adam, the last hour of the show. But my question to you, because I think most of you fall in one or the other category, who's better set up right now for success long term? Like, if you had to plant your flag on one team's long-term prospects, who would it be? The 49ers or the Raiders? I know your initial thought is like, are you crazy? The 49ers. But no, think about it. Think about it for a second. Who do you think is on the way up and who's on the way down? Think about it overnight. I'm going to be lamenting on it, but I think it's a really interesting conversation. And I'm not putting that conversation out there strictly because of the drives that we saw from Mendoza, but I came on here last week and I said he's going to be a top tier quarterback easily in the next 5 years. And I've heard other media personalities that know football way bigger than me, like Sean Salisbury, come out and say the same thing. So if you're a Niners fan, if you're a Raiders fan, if you are a fan of someone else, seriously, whose future is brighter right now? Who do you think is going to have the better 5 years, starting today, the Niners or the Raiders? Andre, poor guy, dude. Jordan Tyson out 2 months. It's insane, man. Do you remember when I sat up here? It was like a couple days before training camp, and I'm like, I love this time of year and I hate this time of year because so many guys are gonna go down. Jeez. All right. Grant and I, we're back 7 o'clock tonight. Join us, but remember that question. We're gonna kick it around all week. Is it the Niners or the Raiders that, as we sit today, have a brighter future? Until 7 o'clock, we'll see you. Have a good, safe drive home. Stay cool, and join us again tonight at 7. Grant and I will be back, and we do have a disconnect update coming this week as well. So looking forward to getting y'all in on that, and might have a guest coming up here on this platform as well. So, anyways, be well. See you at 7 o'clock. Grant and Ryno, court is dismissed.